Hello, friends. Good to have you with us on Red Barn Radio. I'm Bradford Becker. Tonight we continue in our 21st season of Red Barn Radio, and we welcome you to show number 823. Buck the Taxidermist is the moniker of Kentucky songwriter Kyle Ayres. His Lexington rock band began around 2016, drawing inspiration from modern and vintage sounds and simple throwback melodies alike, blending influences of modern heroes like the War on Drugs, Wilco and Dr. Dog, and classic songwriting like Townes Van Zandt and Paul McCartney and Paul Simon and Neil Young. The results tend to vary with wherever he finds creation flowing. We've been curious about these guys for some time. It's great to have them here on Red Barn Radio. Welcome, Buck the Taxidermist.
I can't come around here again. I probably won't hear the clock go in. Electric's what I like. It really turns on the lights. Got a Chinese Strat for a steal on love lost and all love healed. And the boy's in college now. He probably got him a college gal. And my little brother lives down south. He swings on a string from an open mouth, and he waits the days away. And every day he works, my mama prays, oh Lord, 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 oh Lord, Lord. Well, I landed on the planet in the middle of the week, and I was healthy, but my mom was weak, and her mother made a fuss. I cried to Kansas on a Greyhound bus, but I learned to live where they lay the dead on satin sheets and the baby's breath, and I hated nothing more than the smell of flowers in the grocery store. Oh, Lord. About a song about Spanish leather. It brought big tears to my brown eyes. I wonder, could there ever be another Mr. Zimmerman? Sing it again. A Spanish princess across the golden ocean. Could she be the one that's true? Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Red Barn Radio. Wherever in the world you're listening, welcome to Roots Music Southern Style. Thanks to WEKU, Red Barn Radio's official radio partner, NPR for Central and Eastern Kentucky. Listen online at weku.org. Red Barn Radio is supported by Visit Lex, Lexington, Kentucky's Convention and Visitors Bureau. More information on what Lexington has to offer is at visitlex.com. LexArts, Lexington, Kentucky's premier cultural development, advocacy, and fundraising organization, working for the development of a strong and vibrant arts community as a means of enhancing the quality of life in Central Kentucky. Follow Red Barn Radio on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Here's the host of Red Barn Radio to tell us more about tonight's performers.
Buck the Taxidermist has, over the years, changed its roster several times, but founder band leader Kyle Ayres points out that changes have always been amicable and out of necessity. Kyle contends that the beauty created from rotating musicians allows the music to stretch and warp. He currently has enlisted his longtime bassist Jacob Gahn, Caleb McKinley on guitar and samples, and John McGee on drums. Kyle has released 3 EPs and numerous singles since the project's launch, with a full-length album set to possibly release in the summer of 2024, though I suspect this is subject to change, Kyle? Oh, yeah. We'll see. Okay, we'll see what happens. Yeah. But we're glad you're here. Folks, welcome to Red Barn Radio. Our guest tonight is Buck the Taxidermist.
Take your rest. You lay your head down real slow. Oh, you try your best. Stretched out so thinly on your bed. Head south to save a spin. In a restless head. Is this what you wanted? Is it what you need? Till you find the answer in the things that make you bleed. Between the pear and ginkgo, in the stomach night, aluminum's black and high, in the tailgate slide, what you want? Is it what you need? Do you find the answer in the things that make you bleed? Is it what you wanted? Is it what you need? Do you find the answer? Cool. That one was called Pear and Ginkgo. It's about I used to live in my truck because I left Danville, where I used to live, in a hurry, and I had a job here, and so I was like, you know what? I'm not going to pay rent. Now I'm not running from the law or anything. It's not that. I had to get out of town, and so I came to Lexington, and I've been here ever since. Settled down. Cool. We're going to play another one from that same EP. This one's called Mr. Boy, and it's about happier times. Notes and numbers, Ricky of it. Last week in the calendar when you sit. Windows use far less these days, and the air's filled with lavender stick. You held the hand, trembled on the gravel. Pine needle carpet, a kayak paddle. You held the tears in the ribs of the river, all along with the white dress and chatter. Foxy baby, orange-haired lady, Mr. Boy with the black tussle coat. Tug of war on the kitchen floor, and half wrote words written down on crumpled up notes. 2 cups of tea and a science fiction novel. PM 11:03. I'm making plans for Michigan and checking the kids for ticks again. And Mr. Boy barks through the screen. You rifled through the careless bag I got in 8th grade, searching for the lost potato chip. Driver served and you lost the nerve, and well, we're back at square one, where the air's filled with the lavender stick. Foxy baby, orange orange-haired lady, Mr. Boy with the black tussle coat. Tug of war on the kitchen floor in half-row world, written down on crumpled of a note, written down on crumpled of a note. Cool. That was Mr. Boy. I'll get a sip real quick. The next one's Made for Greatness. It's about growing up as a child of the 90s and being told you can do anything you want, and then finding out in your late 20s and 30s that that's not true, but it's also okay. I've come to grips with it. Tricked into thinking he was made for greatness, and named his goals by the worldly light. He's realized now it takes the average man to lift the gray ones to such height. That bound his time. The minutes are fractions of dollars, concept asinine. And he's not fond of the observation he once made. You either have your freedom or find it in the time. And these blow away like paper. Colors green, yellow, and red. And people question the day that they were born, with the answers in their head. was born a trend. I saw the windows through the screen, and in her eyes, well, she's the queen of everything. And she's not fond of the observation she wants made. You either have your freedom or find it in the shade. Leaves blow away like paper on a Sunday morning. The colors green, yellow, and red. And people question the day that they were born, with the answers in their head. The answers in their head. The answers in their head.
Hey, thank you, thank you. Tune a little bit while Caleb's tinkering just a hair. Almost, yeah. This next one's about, it's called Caledonia. It's a self-recording I did. Took me about 6 months to finally be happy with it. And it's about my honeymoon in Scotland in particular. It's called Caledonia. And yeah. Good job, Caleb.
Topless she walks through the glen, heather marks where she's been, like pagan words on the wind, riding cloud saddles again, and Caledonia's on the lips. Taste the ember and the chocolate drips. In the dimly lit, warm beer halls, tourists stand and until the fall. The asthma wasn't too much in the sky of the old man's clutch. Over the moors and the moors, where the woolly sheep and the rivers cross, and Caledonia's on the lips, taste the ember and the chocolate drip. In the dimly lit warm-beer halls, the tourists stand and drink until the fall. And I took Michael's kilt for a spin, and over your steaming tea I saw you grin. And all the while the French Canadian crin.
All right, welcome, Kyle.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. If you're just joining us, folks, our guest is Buck the Taxidermist. Kyle Ayres fronts this ensemble, and what a great sound.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
really, really enjoying all the color.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's great.
Appreciate it.
So you were originally then from Danville? Is that where you were born, Danville, Kentucky?
I grew up right across the lake in Garrett County, but we were closer to Danville's kind of our hub, just because there's Garrett County's kind of a place where there's no grocery stores. I mean, Dollar Generals. That's kind of like where we shop in Garrett County.
They don't have a Kroger out there?
No, so we, you know, every county around us. So I grew up doing most things in Danville, but yeah, originally from Garrett County.
Oh, okay. Did you live rural?
Yeah, we lived on a pretty big Angus and tobacco farm growing up.
Oh.
So I was a farmer kid till I was like 15 or 16, and then my parents kind of got out of it and did something else.
Oh, they did, huh?
Dad's still doing cattle though. I don't think he's got the bug, I guess.
You have siblings?
I do have a younger brother. Yeah.
Was there ever any assumption that either of you would stick around and continue on the tradition of working the farm?
I think I've done agricultural things since then, but my dad was pretty clear about. I think he appreciated that we were involved with it and part of it, but he would always make little hints like, "Don't you want to become a chiropractor or a lawyer or something like that?" And so, of course,
were those your only choices?
So,
just
no,
a
he was just
chiropractor
thinking
or a
like
lawyer?
anything but being out here in the field for the rest of your life. I think is. But I don't know. I grew up appreciating all the space, and now we live downtown Lexington. So I don't know. Maybe we'll get over living city life and move back out, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. So the work he had was farm, and did did he not have the opportunity to do other things? Was that something he chose? Or?
Dad's brilliant. I think he's that was just like one of those things they grew up doing, and he's a pretty loyal guy to his family, and so the farm had to be taken care of and paid off, and whenever he saw an opportunity to do it, he got off the farm and helped them pay off the debt, and then he became a gas station owner, and Mom's done several things with like interior decorating, and they have an Airbnb. So they've Dad's back to farming now, sort of. He does stuff with cattle, but he's I don't think he's like one of those guys you can't get off the farm, which is great to have around. I like, I appreciate the farmer's life.
Yeah.
At least the idea of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More the idea than the actual
it's
reality
pretty
of the.
romantic,
Yeah. Well, so what was the work that you had in Lexington that sort of made it worth your while to set up an apartment in your car and drive here?
So I actually worked for my bassist and his wife, Jacob and Carolyn. They owned a granola company. Long story made short, we took over ownership from that company recently, and but I worked for them and then took a break doing road construction for a while, and I was tired of driving all the way into town to do road construction for 12-hour days and then have to go home and drive that again. So I just decided to park on I think it was Malibu is where I parked. That was most of or Sunset, one of those over in kind of Chevy Chase, or
Sure.
kind of a nice area. So I would park there. And actually, it was the only place that I got broken into. It was like the last week I was in my truck. Somebody tried to like break into my vehicle.
Well, that'll teach you
Exactly.
how to size up neighborhoods.
I know, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So did you skip college?
I did 2 years in Florida, and then went
Florida?
down in Pensacola.
Why there?
It was an affordable Christian school, and the tuition was insanely low. So I did that because I had some cousins that did it, and then I kind of got sick of the rules and the way things were at the Christian school. So I told Dad in my junior year that I didn't want to finish, and he said, "Well, just hang out on the beach and then come home." So he's always supportive if I wanted to do school or if I didn't.
Wow,
He was
that's
cool
great.
with it, yeah.
So was it your own idea to
Yeah, I
attend
mean-
a Christian school, or was it your parents?
No, that was my
urging.
idea, but I think college in general, we've kind of been fed that. And so, especially my generation, I think some people are starting to wise up to it, but nothing against college. I'm glad people are educated, but that's one of those things that I'm probably going to tell my kids to learn some kind of skill or maybe don't make that your default.
Yeah.
So I kind of preach that message now of don't just jump into school because that's what you're supposed to do. Maybe think about it.
Well, I mean, that kind of advice will resonate with kids who have parents who have other skills,
Right. Yeah.
who maybe didn't go to school and still have other skills like you.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, thanks. Yeah.
So, I mean, and not to mention the diversity of your interests.
Right.
So,
yeah.
you have a business, you like to do recording, music,
Yeah.
and, your experience in agriculture.
Yeah. I found that not having like a career, I've gained quite a few like experiences as far as in the workforce. I've been a security guy on campus, and I've worked at a slaughterhouse, and I've farmed and made granola, and so I don't know. You put yourself out there as like a laborer, and you get to experience life in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it provides you some sort of rich fodder too for songwriting.
Oh yeah,
I should think.
Working on the road, that was probably the worst job I've ever had. Glad I had it because it paid well, but I would sit there for hours, holding the stop, slow paddle, flagging, and I would write songs or ideas to songs and try to sneak out my phone because we weren't supposed to be on our phone while we were flagging.
Not, right.
Try to sneak it out and record something real quick, and I wrote about half of the stuff we play with Buck while I was, working, holding a flag.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so it would be ridiculous if I didn't just go ahead and ask you the question. I'm sure that somebody out there, at least one person out there has, which is the name of the moniker. Tell me about Buck the Taxidermist and where that comes from. Are you a hunter?
I have hunted, but I wouldn't call myself a hunter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you a taxidermist?
It's not that I'm like, it doesn't make me sad to see animals killed. I mean, I obviously, like, I cherish life, but I have hunted.
Oh, no,
but
this doesn't have
I think
to
it's
go
boring to
political,
me. So just sitting around, that's what hunting is a lot of times. It's just like waiting, and a lot of times I'm not down for that. So.
Well, I just had a guy on the show a couple of weeks ago who said that was what he loved most about hunting.
Oh, really? Just
was
the waiting?
Was the waiting.
Yeah. I can see it would be therapeutic or meditative for sure.
He said he got sleep out there.
Oh, that's nice.
He said that was where he slept.
Yeah.
I loved it. Yeah, but go ahead.
No, so I just came up with the name, and actually the idea was when I was floating around to the original band was could be Buck and the Taxidermist. I thought that was clever. And then our guitarist Blake was like, what if it was just Buck the Taxidermist? And then I ended up liking it because if you search it on Google, you either get taxidermist videos or you get us. So it was, if you have like if you have a normal name like The Flowers or, something like that, like there's a gazillion of those bands. But it just kind of, in retrospect, I'm glad we have the name, but in retrospect, like on posters and T-shirts, it makes it very difficult to make something that's printable and looks nice. That's the only regret that I have. Maybe the last word should have been shorter.
That's funny. So when you guys, when you sort of developed this idea, you mentioned you had your previous drummer, and you've also mentioned, in your sort of biomaterials that you've had a lot of different folks that you have worked with. Maybe one of the consistents being your bass player. What's your thinking behind that? Is it like what I said in introducing you, that keeps things fresh to have new folks in the band?
I think I depended on having a band several times. This is not the first time that I've been the songwriter and front person of a band. I've been doing it for over a decade. And I think what I've learned is every time you commit to having the band, and then one or two people that have learned your songs decide they don't want to do it or they can't do it anymore, and then you have to start over, or you don't feel like you can do it without them because you feel loyal to it.
Right,
and so
right.
What I've decided from the get-go with this project was, it's cool that you guys are my band now and you're always welcome, but if you leave, I'm just letting you know that I'm going to move on and it's going to be the thing that I make. And so a lot of times it's not that I want or try to filter people in and out. It's just that Lexington's a small place. There's a lot of music, and everybody, but I think Jacob plays with somebody now too. So like everybody in this band, this is not necessarily their main thing or their only thing. John plays in at least 3 other bands. Caleb has his own band, Sympathy Jar. And so they, all these guys, and it's the same thing with the whole community. There's a lot of us playing music now, and mostly it's out of necessity. Like you might hit somebody up and they're like, I can't do that weekend. And you're like, okay, well, I've booked it. I got to find somebody. And then it just becomes a different version of your music.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And it's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
No, there isn't anything wrong with it. It's a great way and sort of an alternate way to do things, but a solid way to keep things fresh and to avoid something you love becoming drudgery.
Right.
Right, like you said, going 2 steps forward, 2 steps back.
Right.
First time you were on the program, it was with a band. It was the Sharecroppers.
Yeah, the Sharecroppers. Are like a string band.
Yeah, and tell us what's your memory of that?
As far as the vibe here, or just like
Did you like me?
Yeah,
then?
Of course. Yeah.
No, was the
talked about it for years afterwards.
Was the no? I guess I'm wondering. When you were at that point in time in your music life, had you sort of imagined that was your home? That kind of music, string band music, was your home, or were you already at that point doing electronic stuff?
I was. So the I guess the trajectory started. I was in a hardcore band first. It was the Christian hardcore music that a lot of us jumped into, the screaming and everything. And so like we couldn't do that anymore. And that kind of fizzled out. And then the early Americana stuff, like the Avett Brothers and Mumford and Sons, that kind of got me interested in music again. And so we had an Americana band, like a 3-piece thing. And then that fizzled out because one member decided they didn't want to do it. And I was like, well, I can't not have a banjo player. So then
Yes, you can.
I kind of rode off. Yeah, I guess some people would say that would be perfect.
Yeah.
So I kind of rode off like being the front man, and I joined the Sharecroppers as like harmony and rhythm guitar. And that was a nice time for me to just relax, play music, and not put so much on my shoulders. And it was fun. Like we did old fiddle tunes, a couple originals, and then we would cover like Grateful Dead, but in bluegrass form, which is
So
it works
Old and
really
in the
well.
Way.
Yeah, Old in the Way, exactly. And so that's kind of how that started, and it was very freeing to do it for a couple of years with them. Like we played, and string music pays really good. That's the other thing. Like we'd play countless weddings, and people would shell over the money, which was great.
String band music?
Yeah, like bluegrass, string music. Yeah,
Huh.
it was hot in the 2010s.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's hot now. I don't know.
I'd say
I've been playing electric.
maybe tepid.
Yeah.
No, it depends, obviously. Hey, I'm talking with Kyle here. Buck the Taxidermist is the name of his band, and we've got more music and more conversation up ahead. But for the time being, we're going to get back to some more music. So. Welcome back, Buck the Taxidermist. Do you want to tell us about your next tune, Our Little Street?
I'm actually going to let Caleb talk about it because I forgot my acoustic in the back. So I'm going to go grab that.
Oh, perfect.
So a little smoke and mirrors.
Well, this gives an opportunity for Caleb to say something.
Great. My name is Caleb McKinley. I play in the rock band Buck the Taxidermist from Lexington, Kentucky. And while Kyle is getting his acoustic guitar, which is... it's different from an electric because it actually like resonates more. The body is hollow, right? So you can get a lot more, cool tones. And here he comes. And so this song called "Our Little Street" is about a street that he used to live on, him and his family, which was actually parallel, one street down from my street. So we used to be in the same neighborhood, almost neighbors, but one street over. And so we would hang out, we'd play music. His wife and my wife are also really close friends, and so it just made sense for all of us to get together. And I assume he wrote this song while he was living on that little street. The street was called Catalpa. Beautiful little street. And then every year, all the trees on the street, and I'm sure everyone in Lexington is aware of this phenomenon, but all those trees will turn yellow. The leaves will turn bright yellow and they'll fall all at the same time. And it's beautiful and gorgeous. Everybody gets their senior pictures taken there. It's just a beautiful sight.
That was very well done. My favorite part of your shtick there was helping us to all understand the difference between an electric and acoustic guitar. So thank you. I want to just thank you for that.
I can't assume that everybody knows.
No, you should. That's right. You should. We should. None of us should assume that. So, thank you very much for reaching out to maybe some of our marginalized listeners. All right, let's welcome back Buck the Taxidermist.
There's an old man standing in his driveway, a pocket full of hay. Watching his grass grow green and tall until the men come and cut it all back down. And his license plate says coal keeps the lights on, buddy, he ain't wrong. And I can't complain, no, I won't scoff. There's hardly a day when all of ours are off. On our little street, dogs bark and the children move their feet. On our little street, the trees all pick a day and moves a leaf. And the French kids on bicycles are doing laps again. The mare calls from far behind, with 3 on a hip and 4 coming down the line. And there's a family I've never seen before, and they're blocking up the road. Little girl dressed in corduroy, and herringbones on the dad and the little boy. On our little street, it's hard to estimate the GDP. On our little street, the trees all pick a day and lose a leaf. On our little street, the dogs bark and the children move their feet. On our little street, trees all pick a day and lose their leaves.
Hey, thank you so much. This next one's called Brother. It's on an EP I self-recorded, except for one song. Back in 2018 or 2019. This one's about my little brother who flies around on helicopters, and he's a state police guy. He's pretty cool.
Took a ride on a paperback, tried to understand what that meant. Little words of gray, birthday, how could I forget? And I was younger back then, and I didn't understand quite. Ahead, face red, the sunset on your back. I turned to see bloody knee and the crimson track. And you were younger back then, used to run so damn fast, and I can count the bad days on one hand, and I can hold the good in the other, and I don't regret a single bet I made just to jump on here with you, my brother. Pigeons in the hay, birthday full of regrets, a rider in my hand, understand, how could I forget? When I was younger back then, and I didn't understand quite yet. And all those memories shoot right through me, ripping my poor heart in two. When those memories shoot right through me, they bring me right on back to you, my brother. And I can count the bad days on one hand, and I can hold the good in the other, and I don't regret a single bet I made just to jump on it with you, my brother. Just to jump on it with you, my brother. Just to jump on it with you, my brother. My brother.
Hey, thank you. Are we having a good time? Nice. Me too. It's a win-win. Thanks for coming to our dress rehearsal. Yeah, ready when you guys are. All right. All right. This one's a little close to home. It's on the same EP as Brother, which is entitled Brother. It's the name of the EP. It's about my brother. This one's about when we finally moved into an apartment, but it was on High Street. And anyway, this one's called High and Rose.
The garage door is closed on the corner of High and Rose, and the sign reads out to live, be back soon. The YMCA takes the stress away, and the windows are fogged at the local subway, and hungry people stand in its view. And there's a lot of broken bottles on Maxwell Street, and boring looking people hear the same old beat. From my third floor flat, I hear a banjo, I see a cowboy hat, and I don't think that's the way it's sung. The lights are low on the floor below, and there's a lot going on in its soft glow, and I do believe that someone's bell got rung. And I can feel the caffeine on the corner of Old Vine, and people get their groceries to get drunk on wine. Do, 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 do. Kids go to little Mexico, and they love to help, but they don't carry cash. The runways pass the old Star bus, and 10 or 15 taco trucks, and diesel motors fly black smoke fast. And there's a lot of broken bottles on Maxwell Street, and boring looking people hear the same. And I can feel the caffeine on the corner of Old Vine, and people get their groceries to get drunk on wine. They get drunk on wine.
Well, we've got lots more music and conversation with Buck the Taxidermist, but I'd like to take a moment to remind listeners that Red Barn live streams, both tonight's and on any Wednesday, remain available online for you to view at your convenience. Our live video stream is available on the weku.org website, as is our audio stream, compliments of wgad.net in central New York. Don't miss a single episode of this program, and be sure to tell your friends what it is that you like about Red Barn Radio, why you keep coming back. Kyle Eldridge, our guest next week, has been burning his way into the country and western scene and has quickly become in demand both domestically and abroad. From Louisville, Kentucky, Kyle has become known as one of the most prominent guitar players in the traditional scene for his Joe Maphis, Merle Travis style picking and Western jazz styling. He got his start playing in the South, where he met upright bassist Dakota Collins, who brought him to Nashville, Tennessee. They began playing honky-tonks on the famous Broadway Strip there, and soon after he recorded his debut AP in Los Angeles, California at Deke Dickerson's studio. Kyle's played alongside artists from Jim Heath of Reverend Horton Heat to Sean Young of High Noon and Dale Watson and his Lone Stars, among others. Well, guess what? He's going to be playing here on the Red Barn stage next week. Don't miss Kyle and his band. That's next Wednesday on Red Barn Radio. Red Barn Radio. Listen to the live. Let's get back to tonight's Red Barn Radio program. We welcome you live on our social media platforms, broadcasting from the Arts Place Performance Hall here in the city of Lexington, Kentucky. Welcome back now, Buck the Taxidermist.
These are my solo songs. I don't know if you want to hang out or. All right, cool. Cool. I'm going to give the band a break for a second. I'm going to play 3 new ones, if that's cool. I recently got back from California. I had an awesome experience out there recording this tune. And it will be full band. It's just, we're going to take it for a test drive tonight. Got embers in my pocket, silver chain in my drawer, the taste of panic I remember, like the peeling death of a sycamore, and it's all I can do get you out in the blue. So if you're asking, man, it's taxing living in the blue. I ain't better, but I'm better at living with the truth, and I'm letting others get you through out here in the blue. And I've been burning through my record, in this September evening swoon, watching hardwood turn to ashes, and lending darkness to its moon. And it's all I can do keep you out in the blue. If you're asking, man, it's taxing living in the blue. I ain't better, but I'm better at living with the truth, and I'm letting others get me through. If you're asking, man, it's taxing. I'm living in the blue. I ain't better, but I'm better at living with the truth. And I ain't trying to be prying, but I hope you're better too. Life's so tragic, but we're pragmatic with these Western views. I hope you're letting
others get you through out here in the blue.
Hey, thank you. You know, I remembered the lyrics, so that's a win. Well, here's another one. So it'll be on the record that may or may not come out next year. I was hiking with my 2-year-old at the time, and she fell and injured herself. And just the maturity that she handled it with, there was like blood everywhere. And it inspired me. And I write a lot of my music in August, and for whatever reason, this is one of them.
I'm drenched in the humid emerald glow. Early August cicada drone. It's nature's barometric sing along. Ooh, 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 a locust thorn that I kiss clean. Witch doctor's cure for child's relief. You scratched your leg and man, did it look mean? We took it easy and changed the scene. Ooh, 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 ooh. Winterberry Grove, you can find us close. I'm stuck in the islands with no word. Push comes to shove with the native birds. They weather and feather the Milky Ways like sightless seams in the endless end of days. Ooh, 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 ooh. I'm drenched in the humid emerald glow. Early August cicada drone.
Thank you. All right. That one's called Emerald Glow. This one's Henry Clay. Used to drive on from Catalpa to Delaware, and I'd take Henry Clay, and I always like saw or smelled something interesting. And now that I have kids, I don't see that anymore because all the interesting things that I see are at home. But I was a little more observant back then with the outside world, and now I'm just like hyper focused on getting sleep or dealing with disputes at home. We have 2 of them now, so it's not just one. And when there's one, you know, you got you know what the problem is. When there's 2, you just kind of guess.
Tangos, tango, man goes to the moon. Oak sways, Wednesday on Henry Clay at noon, and I smell water, hose water, watching paint dry in the dog's eyes, windshield smeared with insect martyrs, and on their graves ripple heat waves. Up high, design in galactic disco, June sky, baptized in uphill fescue, and I smell chlorine in the water, judging swan dives for cul-de-sac pride, windshield wipers keeping timing to the 4-4, windows to the floor. I smell water, hose water, watching paint dry in the dog's eyes, windshield smeared with insect martyrs, and on their graves ripple heat waves.
Thank you.
Nice. Those are some neat songs. I'm glad you did those.
I think you appreciate it.
Yeah, I like little
Me too.
poems.
Yeah.
little poems. But is this the first time you've actually played them out live?
No, I play, well, I think it's the first time I've played the first one, Sycamore, out of that set, the one we recorded out in California. But the rest of them, I play like super long sets whenever I'm doing, like I played Shaker Village twice this year and have to play 3 hours solo.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you basically play everything you got. So I've played them out, but some of these songs that are new are like 4 years old that I felt like they fit with something, and so I'm putting them on an LP that I've been making with actually a former bandmate, and his name's Zach Hamilton. He's Abby Hamilton's brother,
Sure.
Guitar player
Yeah.
for her band. So me and him have been making a record together, and he was my roommate for a long time too. So,
All right.
yeah.
Why'd you go to California?
So California was it was a hero of mine. Said that he was recording some music at his house, and so I wrote him on Instagram, and I didn't really think anything about it. I was like, everybody's going to be hitting him up. And then about a month and a half later, he wrote me back and was like, well, here's my rates. And I talked to my wife and was like, this could be our vacation. And she played on it too, and so we ended up flying out and then renting a camper and got to go to Topanga Canyon, and I don't know. There's just so many like iconic stuff that happened in that area as far as music goes, and
Yeah.
it was kind of cool to be in the magic of that. So
I bet. Huh. So I was listening to one of Willie Nelson's kids getting interviewed on a podcast I listened to, and he was talking about how important it was for him. He knew a song was ready when he could take it out by itself,
Right.
and play it just with acoustic guitar. Is that the way you feel about your songs as well?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned it because I'm gonna get ready this time. Like when I started this project 6 or 7 years ago, the idea was if I can't play it on an acoustic, at least the majority of the songs, then that's not what I want to do, because I knew I had to have a backup plan for if I don't have a band, and like like they said in that interview, it's good to have something where you know that you can go play it by itself and it's going to be something. So and that's kind of what I talked to Zach about the album. I was like, it's okay to have a few like heady numbers where it's like, we're up in the clouds and we might not be able to like recreate this live. But the majority of them, stuff that I write, I'm writing with this acoustic guitar in a metal chair in my backyard. Just, usually late summer is like when I find writing time hits me, and cicadas are buzzing, and it kind of builds the atmosphere for me, and then take off writing. And that's why, a lot of these songs that we're playing full band, I wrote them and they recorded acoustic, but I was like, let's work them up, and see if we can make them a full band type thing.
Hey, I wonder if we could pull in that microphone there for the other guys too. I don't know if they want to be included in this way, but I don't want them to leave feeling like they were excluded
Just
in this
include
way.
'em.
So we'll just be safe. So one thing that was interesting to me is to see you talk about the folks who've impacted you, and you mentioned War on Drugs, you mentioned Wilco, but the two that sort of, to me, that sort of resonates in the room with a lot of the stuff you've been
Sure, yeah.
playing. Could for you to talk, which one would you choose to talk about? Which of those artists in terms of the impact they've had on you? And any of you can join in on this, because I sort of hear it in a lot of the sounds that you're making as a group. It's really not just coming out of Kyle,
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'll just go ahead and get it kickstarted.
Yeah, sure.
This guy has a lot of opinions about music, which I love, so I'll let him speak on it for himself.
Well, his piece about the guitars was
right.
actually, that's
One day
any
he's gonna have he'll have
indicator.
some kind of magazine or podcast where he reviews stuff, and I'm there for it because Caleb has great opinions, whether I agree with them or not. But usually I do.
All right.
So for me, I think Wilco. Get back into your question.
Yeah, sure.
The War on Drugs, love them. Probably one of the coolest things that's come out in our the last 20 years that's modern, in my opinion. But the amount of stuff that Tweety has written and continues to write blows me away. And I think I got stuck with Sky Blue Sky, the album. It got stuck in my CD player. This old Lexus, 97 Lexus, and it wouldn't come out, and I would listen to it every day on my way to work. And I don't
Is
know, it's just
Impossible Germany on that?
yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
And listen to the
Possible
guitar
Germany,
solo alone,
exactly.
over and
Yeah.
over again.
So probably I always tell people it's maybe the best song in the last 20 years, my favorite anyway. It's just kind of perfect. But anyway, so for me, I think Wilco they've affected the way I write more than, and I'm kind of I've discovered them, kind of recently, last 10 years. I've not been with them since the beginning.
Yeah.
But so anyway, I feel like Jeff Tweedy's an insane creative person and writer, and influences me quite a bit. So
Yeah. And but you mentioned him as a writer. Do you mean mostly as a lyricist, or also as a composer, or both?
yeah, I think both. But that's the thing with Wilco. They're stacked as a band. So
Yeah, right.
I'm sure he comes to the table ready with stuff. But man, without that band, it wouldn't be what it is. But I think probably from a
Right.
writer perspective, one thing that I do when I write, and a lot of people do, is they mumble write. So you'll take off writing, and you might have a melody, which in a lot of cases is the most important part, because it doesn't matter what you say if people don't want to listen to it. You know, if it's not interesting, then they're not gonna stick with you. And so writing like a good melody, to me, should be key. And Jeff Tweedy talks a lot about it, as far as like, you know, you write and just kind of riff on stuff and then mumble the words out. It doesn't matter if it means anything. And if you look at a lot of his lyrics and you like get into it, you're like, what is that? Does he even know what that means? And maybe not. I don't know.
Sure, right.
Yeah.
It's just catchy.
Yeah,
Did
it's
you
cool.
read his book, that How to Write One Song?
I wrote. I wrote the.
You wrote that book.
Yeah, no. I read the other one, the autobiography. Of his.
Okay.
I haven't got into that yet.
Yeah.
I'm reading Dune right now, so that's
Oh, okay.
that's a lot to bite
Sure.
off.
That's funny. How about anybody else want to join in? I'd love to hear from you guys, and just to know about some of the other things that you have going on. Jacob, maybe you could start. And as I watch you play, you become so familiar. I feel like I've been someplace watching you play before.
That's sweet.
Right.
Yeah. Going back to influences and Kyle in particular, I wanted to say that playing with Kyle, with a lot of being that like somewhat steady element in a lot of different permutations of his band, it's been interesting to see Kyle as a band leader of a multitude of different people, and I think it shows a lot of confidence in his own influence, his own core idea of what the band is, to allow other people come in. And this band sounds really different from the previous iteration and the previous iteration and so on. I think it shows a lot of maturity as a songwriter and as a band leader from all that experience before. So it's one of my favorite things is to watch Kyle lead with like a light touch.
Yeah, I
it's
lead.
really cool.
So when the band is rehearsing, when you're performing, both.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Kyle's got a strong concept for his music. He comes to practice and has an idea. He'll play it kind of like he plays it solo. And then we inevitably take it somewhere completely different. Absolutely, totally different. And Kyle will nudge this way and we'll nudge that way, and then we'll land on something we're all really happy with and we're having fun with. It's a really fun process, and I always appreciate being a part of it. Kyle's not like an auteur who's like, got like his idea and that's it. If you don't follow it, like it's going to be problems. So it's really a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and so does that, just having that experience with this ensemble, Jacob, make it sometimes challenging to be in parts of other projects where maybe there is a heavier hand, or maybe the work isn't quite as collaborative?
Yeah, not really. I mean, it's just different styles, right?
Yeah.
And I think having a strong idea and really having to and being passionate about that is also a really effective tool to creating, great music as well. It's just less flexible, less fluid.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah.
Right. Well, thanks. Yeah. Anybody else care to chime in? I'd always like to hear a drummer talk.
I will say Jacob just secured his spot as the bassist after.
Oh, oh, that's good. All right, so you're not gonna have the guys out in the lot talking to him afterward. Good. Okay.
Oh, well, I guess I'll do just
John.
the
Yeah,
same.
kick it in. Who's your favorite drummer?
My favorite drummer. That's I don't know what my favorite.
Okay.
Who my favorite
All right,
drummer is.
so I
I think
just thought
probably
I'd
for this
started.
project, listen to a lot of Ringo, Levon Helm, maybe Stuart Copeland. But it's usually just what I do. Whatever Kyle tells me to do. He comes in with very specific instructions, and he will lash me if I don't do just that.
Oh, wow. So that's a very different perspective than what Jacob
No.
Described.
No,
John, thank you for balancing out that perspective for us.
Kyle's been very, very. Kyle's like one of the most enthusiastic people I've ever met in my life about music and about getting people to play on his stuff. And he's also probably the biggest helper in terms of a drummer's setup. that I've ever met in my life.
How
Also,
so?
well, because usually a drummer is having to carry in all this stuff. A guitar player just shows up with 2 things.
Oh, you
Kyle,
mean-
Kyle
oh,
will, Kyle will bring in a whole drum set just for me.
Well, he grew up on a farm, for
Yeah.
Pete's sake. Right.
He is very handy. He's very he's a very cerebral and cunning songwriter, and a very big help for drummers too. So
All right.
I decided to secure my spot as well.
Good. Okay, good. Yeah, it sounds like you're in good shape. I think you've said all the right things.
Yeah, right. Thank
so
you.
I don't think you have to worry about Kyle kicking you out, like he's kicked everyone else out over the years. All right, and
No, come on.
yeah,
tear it down,
Caleb.
tear it down a
Okay,
little bit.
join in on the party, Caleb, and
Sounds great.
tell us about you and how the two of you met, and who are the guitar players that you really like. Start with how you guys met.
Sure. I believe we met at a show.
That sounds right.
Yeah, it was one of his, earlier Buck the Taxidermist shows while he was, playing with other, guitar players at the time, and just hit it off immediately.
Yeah.
Just a lot of common interests. So, of course, music being one of them. And as far as musical influences, I'm also very much into who he recorded his recent single with. His name is Buck Meek, but he plays in the band Big Thief. And Big Thief is one of my favorite bands of all time. And I was lucky enough to take a class from Buck Meek, the guitar player. So it was an online Zoom class, and it was a clinic where he instructed us how to, play guitar in a way, how to, complement the melody, complement the song. And I took a lot of, inspiration from that class and, applied it here for Buck. But what I love about Kyle
Oh no.
Just right.
is actually his mind is and his interests are so much bigger than even what we're doing right now. And so me and him, we what we call a side project, if you will, but we have a little ambient side project that we just get together, every other week, but we play in his basement. We just play through, 4-track tape recorder, some synthesizers, some organ, some guitar. No words, no structure, just loose ambient music, and it's really fun. And that's kind of where my brain is at as well. So my, musical background is more, I would say abstract and experimental music is interesting to me. So the traditional rock structure is not where I am most comfortable. So this even playing in a more, rootsy traditional, if you will, rock band is a challenge for me, but a very welcome one. It's a great challenge.
Well, the music that you all are playing, of course, is monstrously spacious.
Yes.
Compared to the music that we typically have on the program, which has its own beauty as well, right? But there's a lot of sound coming out of here.
Well, thank you.
It's
Thank you for saying that. Yeah.
Really, really dreamy, and just ushers in lots and lots of thoughts and emotions. And
Right.
It's
And-
very cool.
And I'm really glad you say that, because that is, 100% my intention as a member of Kyle's band and Buck the Taxidermist. I just want to be atmosphere. I want to be, kind of in the background, but setting a tone, setting a mood, and not imposing too much, but just enough color
Yeah.
to make it work and make the sounds because I think Jacob said it. His songwriting in lyrics is it's poignant, it's sharp, and he sings about his family in ways that I really connect with. So I do really appreciate Kyle as a songwriter, and now we're going to present him with a Lifetime Achievement Award.
That's right.
'Cause
Yes.
I feel like we're speaking so highly of him.
That's epic.
Is it too much?
All right. Hey, thanks. Yeah, thanks. All right, so just a couple more questions to ask you, Kyle, to wrap up our conversation before we get back to more music. I would like to know if you could tell me about the time when you lived on at High on Rose. Was there music going on there? This is a kind of a legendary corner in Lexington, Kentucky, for listeners who don't know about it. And there was a coffee shop up the way. Was that coffee shop there when you were living?
So that was
on High
that
on
was
Rose.
like 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah.
My wife and I. Well, when I moved out of my truck, I moved into one of those apartments on Lyndhurst. So like the brick buildings all kind of look alike, and it's sort of on campus.
Yes.
So I moved into that, and then I would take a lot of walks with my dog, and I noticed like I'm sure there's good people in college, but I didn't run into a lot of them that were good. There's a lot of broken a lot of broken bottles, which is like one of the lyrics on
Yes, right, I was
the song.
listening,
And
yeah.
then what really kicked it off though was the garage right beside what I think it might be a law office now, but it used to be, I guess it used to be a bar on the corner.
Yes.
High
Oh, yeah.
and Rose.
That's
And
what
so-
I was referring to.
So like
yeah.
next to that, there's a garage there where I think they do like detailing or body work. But there's a sign when they're closed. It says, "Out to live, be back soon." And I would pass that every day on my loop doing the walking the dogs, and that stuck with me. I was like, what a clever way to say we're closed. Like instead, you're like, out to live. We'll be back tomorrow, and we take a break from living, instead of the other way around, which is what Americans do. We work so that we can rest a little bit. And so that whole song was just about, there's a Subway on Main Street where the windows were always fogged from condensation, and you had this cheap food, but you also had hungry people sitting outside.
Right.
And so that whole thing was like, the whole song was just about this little block that I would either walk the dogs or go for a run or whatever I was doing, and then come back to the house. But to answer your question, no, it wasn't anything there on the corner. Besides like,
Gotcha. That was just
just people.
Familiar neighborhood,
Yeah.
and
I got hit on
was
my
your-
bicycle on that corner. There's like tons of fun stuff that happened on that corner.
I know somebody else who got hit
Yeah.
there on their
It was
bike.
actually on Vine, but that was a whole thing. I was on my way to get a bicycle helmet too, which was funny. So I was I was on my way to the bike shop, not wearing a helmet, and then
Oh, good idea.
a guy turned left on a yellow, and I went through it, and I ended up
Whoops.
running into him.
Yeah.
So-
Well, I'm glad you
Yeah.
lived to tell the story.
Yeah, I'm good.
That's a good thing. So a lot of bands who are on this program are sort of on their way someplace. They're on their way to growing their fan base, growing their career, possibly moving elsewhere to continue their career. Is it accurate to say that for you, music is an avocation, something you do as another creative outlet? Or do you aspire to take Buck the Taxidermist to a higher place sort of in the industry?
I think everybody that does it has that. There's like this little thing in the back of their head that's like, it'd be kind of cool if I could do that. And so I don't want to like write that off, but I know having a 3-year-old, having a 1.5-year-old, and we're new business owners, that it's one of those things that like I'm already doing enough. But at the same time, say that I've been stressing out over about booking a 4-day run out of state with these guys. Are actually crazy enough to go with me for 4 days, and like you get bogged down in the details, because any musician will tell you that booking is the worst thing in the world. That's like the worst part of it all, booking. And then after that, it's like getting past yourself, like, getting out of your head and like just having fun, because you can get so worried about doing well that you forget, oh, I'm doing this because I want to, not because somebody's not making me do this.
Indeed, right.
And so the short answer is, I would like, if it organically took off and it became something, I would be tickled pink, but I'm not expecting that. I'm going to keep doing it because, I've got nearly a decade doing this music, so it's not going to hurt anything. It's not costing me any money.
Yeah, right.
So, and what I've actually started doing is pouring myself more into like doing production. So I've recently started recording other people, and I feel like I make a good product, and with other people I make a good product, and I'm kind of pouring myself into like, how can I? There's actually a guy we recorded with the first time. His name's Cole Clark, and I think he still does some recording, but he doesn't really have a studio like brick and mortar anymore. And one thing that I appreciated about him was he gave us, we did a whole EP for like less than $300. And it was either he didn't value himself enough, or I think it's this is more true. He saw us like trying to get our foot in the door and wanted to give us an opportunity. And so that's what I've been trying to do, is like set rates, knowing that I'm kind of new to the production game, setting rates low and also making a good product. I've done several free things and still pour like weeks of mixing and things into it to make sure that the first thing they get is really good.
And to learn.
Yeah. And
Right.
and it helps me in the end by like doing it for other people. I see the way they write and I'm like, oh, okay, I can apply that to myself. And hopefully they can see that recording is not that mystical. It's not that, it's fun and it's, it can be magical, but it's not unreachable, it's not unattainable. And so like whenever I see people start to grow and I'm like, I kind of want to do that. Then I'll go on the road. I've done a few tours and like when I get back, I'm like, nah, like I like playing the big shows. I like touring, but when I say touring, I do runs, but when I get back from, 4 or 5 days away from home, I'm like, it's good to have a balance of both for me. And, if something presented itself, I would bite at it the first chance I got. But it's kind of a nice, almost healthy balance.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
almost healthy for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say good for your marriage also to have just the 4-day runs versus the 4-week tours at this point.
Yeah,
Considering, you're.
I'd have to have a lot of help as far as like booking and somebody like get me a place to stay, because I can't do I'm 37. I can't do the hard floors anymore.
Yeah, right. Well, Kyle and Jacob and Caleb and John, thank you all so much for being with us. We had a great time talking to you, a great time listening to your music, and I'm glad it's not over. You've got a few songs left to go. Let's welcome back Buck the Taxidermist to Red Barn Radio.
Cool. This is one on our latest EP. It's called Blue.
He can't tell you why he wears blue. Says it suits him, and the sky wears it too. The way it dives in town with the green. Stitches in the seam of the terrace spool. He used to wear neckties, stays out late and it's early to rise. Hates his job, but he knows that it'd be a mess without it. Only cries when he's alone. Hates the fact that he needs a phone. He'd throw it in the lake, but he knows that it'd be a mess without it. He feels obnoxious when he steps ahead. Can't take the compliments, he explains them away instead. And he hides from, but he strives for company. Writes in uppercase, in case it's ever read. He used to wear neckties, stays out late and it's early to ride. Hates his job, but he knows that it'd be a mess without it. Only cries when he's alone. Hates the fact that he needs a phone. He throw it in the leg, but he knows that it'd be a mess without it. He's a complicated man. He's a self-misunderstood individual. Oh, the complicated man. Oh, the self-misunderstood. Cool. My dad bought me my first guitars, and I wrote this song for him after I had my after my wife had our daughter. And this is a song for Father's Day, which is last month, I know. Kodak doubles and faded photo books, sitting in my youngest uncle's room. A brand new boy, my dad would say, a brand new truck. We were both more than he could afford. Sitting on my daddy's mother's countertop, threadbare faded pocket tee, where she had a plate of almost everything. I sometimes wish I'd never left his knee. And the things you do I'll do 'em too. Oh, the things you do, I'll do 'em too. And I suppose I gained the temper of his youth. To see him now, I can't say why. I kicked the lazy boy the night his sister died. But I'm trying to slow it down for my girls and show 'em anger can't control the world. Cause the things I do, they'll do 'em too. Yeah, the things I do, they'll do 'em too. Well, the things I do, they'll do 'em too. Thank you, thank you. Cool. Thanks. I guess we got one more for you. This is a song I wrote with my buddy Emily Hines, and we give her all the credit in the world. She's a brilliant songwriter and wonderful singer, lives in Nashville. And this one's called Hoopla. It's like the one song that I've ever recorded in Nashville in like a proper studio. Yeah, we're gonna try our version out. Make a hoopla and let it last forever. If I can fool you, I can fool myself. You get your hopes up that we all go down together. I don't know, but it's fine. It's alright. In the meantime, you watch the west burn and ring around the roses. Smell the earth turn under burning skies. Can you fool death? Dress it up in silly costumes. I don't know, but it's fine. It's alright. It's fine. It's alright. You saw a wolf in the woods. I've lost him now. Paying the crisis to the waterline. Can we talk it down? Here comes the death toll, the bitter words, the breath low. it's getting worse and no one can stop it now. It's alright. It's fine. It's alright. In the meantime.
Well, there are so many people to thank for each and every Red Barn Radio broadcast. First, for now, Buck the Taxidermist, our guest on tonight's program. We want to thanks to WEKU, Red Barn's premier radio partner, Central and Eastern Kentucky's radio news leader. You can listen online at weku.org because it's your chance to hear more great live music from Red Barn Radio and WEKU, NPR for Central and Eastern Kentucky. Those of you here in the Central Kentucky area, you got to be sure to check out Red Barn TV. It's our weekly program of music, now on ABC 36 WTVQ. Red Barn Radio comes to you from our home, the Arts Place Performance Hall in downtown Lexington, Kentucky. Our website has updates and further information on our guests and our program. We are on the web, of course, at redbarnradio.com. Before we close out tonight's program, let's bring back Buck the Taxidermist for one more number.
Backseat fitting in, spitting in, and I see kid. First base was a shortstop for a pretty face, and got patinas, yeah. Halfway to 26, you're not bliss, antithesis of these American ways. Gold chain, heavy vein, coach train, you're never ashamed of these American. Black man, silver string, fake tan, and a silver ball whistling. Sketchbook, Linda look, you missed her. The smiles for a reproof. Red man, golden blend, backseat fitting in, spitting and I seeking. With the golden bow blistering.
Well, that's all for our show for this week. But you can see and hear Red Barn Radio worldwide as we stream live on the web on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern in North America. You can also listen to archived performances on Patreon, Spotify, and iTunes. And remember this, every like, comment, share, subscribe, it helps bring roots music, Southern style, to your neck of the woods. And finally this, if any of our featured artists are performing in your area, be sure to get out and hear them live. They need you now more than ever before. From all of us here at Red Barn Radio to all of our friends worldwide, keep working together to be safe and healthy. And until next time, good night from Red Barn Radio.